Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community, and I had some subscribers aware me of something, which I'll flip in here. Apparently, Kinobody is now going to promote more leg training in his Greek God program. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing. Work on skill in my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. You know, this is where things are getting interesting, because people have said lately, they've joked like, man, you've been a lot easier on Kettlebody lately. You've been nicer to him. You've been polite. You know why? Because the guy's doing strong, heavy presses, and he's actually putting up impressive numbers for his overall size. That's why, because he is promoting, at least for upper body, stuff that I would agree with. I don't always like his form on his benching. I think he is going to get hurt eventually. I don't like the big focus on aesthetics over performance, but he doesn't really completely do that, does it? He at least understands that performance is how you get that look, or you've got to use a lot of drugs. You've got to pick one or the other. Like guys who say, I want to look good or be jacked, but I don't want to be really, really, really strong, have to use drugs, or they're going to stay tiny. There's no option. There's no in between. Drug-free people cannot separate size and strength. He grasps that. He understands that. He understands it completely. But, you know, what's interesting there is that people are laughing because they're like, man, you guys aren't really quite fighting anymore. It's like, yeah, because my big beef was with that, and it was with the pushing the supplements. Well, what are we seeing now? What are we seeing now? Now we see him talking about, well, I'm going to add more leg work in. I'm going to add leg work into this Greek God program. People are like, he's listening to you. He actually, I don't think he has. He has been. I think he has been paying attention because he has commented and debated with me in comments and stuff before, so he clearly watches. And he actually is appreciated when I did give him credit for some of the pressing, you know. He should, you know, when someone who's been critical of you, who is also a pretty big name out there, says, hey man, you did pretty good. Someone who's been critical of you, yeah, of course you're going to be like, yeah, that's cool, that's awesome. That's actually kind of nice when someone who is one of your critics gives you credit for doing something right, or doing something good, or being successful with something, right? Of course. But what's funny, he's pushing in that direction, and you guys have got me doing intermittent fasting now. And what do we do on the last DEXA scan? 15 pounds of fat loss while retaining all of my lean body mass. Right? That's what we did between these last two DEXA scans, and I'm saying I'm going to do the same thing again. Right? I'm going to drop down to 200, down to 215. I'm going to drop to 200 without losing any muscle. That's the next goal. And yeah, I'm intermittent fasting. I'm not going to lie, guys, I'm using intermittent fasting. You know what? This is where I'm going to agree with him. It's a valuable tool for people who want a life, an evening life. Because what did I do in between these two DEXA scans? I probably went on 20 dates, like at least, and by that meaning went out to eat, you know, or take out and took it home, had a glass of wine or two, or beer or whatever, while eating sometimes burgers, tater tots on occasion, even some Chinese food, stuff like that. I did all of that, right? I did all of that while losing 15 pounds of body fat, losing no muscle. Yeah, because I would fast. I would fast, and I do a lot of the protein loading for my first meal of the day. Eat a bunch of protein, eat a bunch of vegetables. If you know you're going to go out and do something social, what happens? You leave yourself something like 1,500 calories, and you get towards 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and you fast in the morning, you hit most of your protein needs for the day, right? Let's say you had 150 grams of protein, bunch of vegetables, you know you got your micronutrients, and then you have 1,500 calories left, and to still be in a deficit, right? That gives you a lot of wiggle room. You can have a burger and a couple beers, absolutely. You can have a big steak and some French fries and a glass of wine, you bet, if you've got 1,500 calories left. It does work, guys, it does work. And it is about diet adherence. And I'm having pretty fair amount of success with it. Right? I'm having success with it. So he did get all this from Martin Berkham, and I'm going to give credit there because that's where Martin kind of really laid the groundwork for all of this for everyone who's doing it. So I am familiar with Martin's work, and I have read Martin's work. But this is something I think a lot of us here, we're starting to agree upon. When you're trying to control body fat, control body weight, very tightly. Intermittent fasting can be a valuable tool, particularly when you want to go do things, when you want to have a social life, when you want to go on dates, when you want to have fun evenings. It's a beautiful tool for that. It absolutely is. And his audience is people who want a life. His audience isn't really gym rats. You know, again, the whole minimalist training, I agree with that to a large extent. I don't think we need a large exercise selection. If you're just trying to get 90% of the muscle or 95% of the muscle that you could ever gain, you don't need to do a single joint exercise. You don't need specialty work. You need to just get strong on the big lifts, right? That's what you need to do. Getting the last 5% of your muscle growth is going to double or triple the amount of time you're training sometimes. Let's be realistic here. And I agree with a lot of that. You know, he's training 3 days a week. I train 3 days a week. Now, he doesn't do full body like I do, but, you know, there's some things that we're converging on. Well, people have joked about all that, right? They're like, man, you guys are seeing eye to eye on a lot of stuff. Well, now he's jumped in. He's going to add more leg training. He's going to do a lot more leg training. Going to put it into his Greek God program. I want to see that. I'm happy to see that. You know, after me reading that, I'm just going to be honest. My only beef with Greg at this point is his bench press form, because I think it's going to hurt him, and the selling supplements. But you go back to what the guy was originally promoting early on. This stuff isn't that new. He was doing some lower body work. And I actually did talk about fasting in the past, and I've used intermittent fasting in the past for weight loss. But this is where we're seeing a convergence. You know, a lot of us out here, we are seeing eye to eye. There's a lot of people who are all starting to agree on certain things. And it's just interesting, because some of us who come from different backgrounds, I come from a strength athlete background. I don't care about this silly ass aesthetic shit. In fact, I'm the one saying, it's okay. If you guys want to be aesthetic, that's great. I don't have a problem with that. But don't come and tell me that you're a masculine straight male if you value aesthetics more than performance. That's where I have a beef with it. Or the silly shit that you think that you're going to gain muscle without getting strong without drugs in the mix. I'm sorry, you don't live in the real world. That's delusional. That's bodybuilding drug nonsense that's been sold to you. But, you know, here's the point. Greg understands that. He admits that. It's size of strength. That's why he focuses on performance on his big lifts. That's why it is about the performance rather than fully about exercise selection. Instead of 7 different exercises, he's picking a handful of really effective exercises, and he's like, beat those on the ground. Get strong on them. Train just hard enough to stimulate growth, get strong on those lifts, and you don't need much else. So, you know, we're all saying, hey, you know, 3 days a week is fine for training. You can get nearly maximum gains all 3 days a week if you're efficient with what you're doing. Get strong. Eat plenty of protein. Intermittent fasting is a valuable tool for fat loss. It can be a valuable tool for recomposition. And now he's over here, hey, you do need to train legs more. Okay. You know, a lot of us were saying the same stuff. We're seeing the press becoming more popularized. He is helping with that. I've been pushing it. That's one of my big deals. It's one of the things we have in common. So there's a lot of things that are converging here. Now, am I ever going to be supportive of this guy's supplement sales? No. Do I think his marketing is a little bit cheesy? Yeah. Do I think it's cringy? Yeah. A lot of it is. But, you know, a lot of people think I'm cringy. So what? But at the end of the day, it's interesting because we're seeing more of us here who are saying the exact same things. And people are getting their own results coming from different directions. I mean, I am doing a lot of these same ideas, and I'm losing body fat while holding on to muscle. And when people do see the DEXA scans, I think they realize I am a hell of a lot bigger than a lot of these other YouTubers. And people say, well, if you get leaner, you won't be. It's like, well, I just dropped 15 pounds of fat without losing any size. I didn't lose any lean body mass, which means I gained muscle. Actually, if people understand how that works, if you lose no lean body mass, you gained muscle, because you lose non-muscle lean mass when you're cutting every time. So just so that we're clear on that, in case there's any confusion. So what happens if I replicate it again? You know, another 15 pounds while keeping my size. You know, so I'm coming from that other direction, guys who get strong, get big, who bulk up, who do get fat and then trim down. You got guys like Kilmer still promoting similar approaches for guys for recompositioning. You know, we're all agreeing on these same points. Get strong on the big basic movements. You can make your gains training 3 days a week. Intermittent fasting can be a valuable tool. Again, a lot of these ideas are coming together. People from different backgrounds are showing them with slightly different goals, and things are showing these things do work. And I'm thinking, because so many of us are pushing in these same directions, I think YouTube fitness is going to largely start pushing further in that direction. I think we're going to see this becoming the dominant trend on here. Now, I hope I can push more people away from supplements. That would be the one other change I would push to Greg. You know, he's got back on the leg training, right? He is going to promote it more. He originally said supplements don't work. That was one reason I was cool with the guy originally, because of some of the ideas about size and strength, big exercises, promoting the press, right? Stuff like this. And he said supplements don't work. And he was right back then. He had it right. They don't work. They're a waste of money. I'm hoping eventually he'll drop the whole supplement thing. But he may not, because he's probably making too much money to drop it. But hopefully he does in the future. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of things here that are coming together, and a lot of people are kind of laughing, saying, wow, a lot of you guys who don't even like each other historically are starting to say the same things. What in the world is happening? Well, because certain ideas just work. They work. And so generally people who are in the game long enough and try these different things, we start to realize, hey, these different things work, and they all work well together. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.